h5. He reaches for the... Gukesh is winning. It's a race, and there we go. He starts the race. Pawn to h5. He reaches for the queen, Gukesh. That is symbolic. He's about to promote to a queen. It's another pawn race between these two. Magnus, though, lacking the knight, lacking the time. He's one move too slow. Look at his hand shaking, Magnus Carlsen.
Magnus Carlsen is about to lose to Gukesh. This is unbelievable. What a turnaround.
Yeah, but does he have to be careful here, Gukesh? Okay, he moves the knight to b2, finding all the right moves.
And in the end, it's going to be the b3 pawn that's going to win the game for Gukesh. The queens are going to be traded off if Gukesh has calculated this knight line all the way.
Oh my God!
Magnus banged the table, the pieces fell over. Look at that. Devastation from the world number one. Turnaround. Historic moment.
Opening with the king's pawn controls the center and opens up the light-squared bishop and queen, often leading to sharp games. e5 is a common response that establishes a presence in the center, controls d4, and opens up the queen and dark-squared bishop. Knight f3 develops the knight toward the center, attacks the e5 pawn, and prepares to castle. Knight c6 develops the knight toward the center, protects the pawn on e5, and eyes the d4 square. The Ruy-Lopez opening develops the bishop to immediately attack the knight on c6, the lone defender of the e5 pawn. Knight f6 develops the knight and attacks the undefended e4 pawn. d3 protects the e4 pawn and allows the dark-squared bishop to develop. Bishop c5 develops the bishop, attacks the f2 pawn, and prepares castling. This is a book move, meaning it follows established opening theory, played by top players for years. Castling kingside tends to be safer than queenside because the king is further from the center. This threatens to win a pawn by removing a key defender. This prepares the bishop for development. This creates space for the king to move in case it is attacked. The bishop is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured. The correct move to safety. This creates luft for the king, providing it an escape square. One of the best moves. This kicks a bishop. The clearly correct move for a threatened bishop. This is a fair move, developing the knight and increasing influence in the center. There were worse moves, but also something much better. A very strong play. Black develops further. This threatens to capture a pawn and win material after the follow-up trades. This stops the opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. That's fine. This strikes at the center to fight for space. This is not the right idea. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. A clear recapture. Right on target. Takes back. Developing the bishop and increasing influence in the center. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. This is the strongest option. There were worse moves, but also something much better. Black's bishop has moved to a square with greater activity and control. Very precise. After all captures, this is an equal trade. Recaptures. This mobilizes the knight, allowing it to control more of the board. The bishop now occupies a secure outpost. This is not the right idea. This allows the opponent to sacrifice a bishop for a nice tactic. Advancing the pawns in front of the king can compromise the king's safety. The game was close to balanced, but now white is worse. This moves the bishop to a better location, allowing it to control more squares. Black was better off, but now their position is winning. A good use of time, thinking and finding the only good move in the position. This threatens to eventually win a pawn. This stops the opponent from being able to eventually win a pawn. This is an equal trade. Now white can't stop black from winning material if they make the right moves. A clear recapture. This wins material. This leads to losing a knight. This wins a knight. A solid choice. This wins material. This is a fair move. This wins material. This allows the knight to control more squares. This captures a free knight. A straightforward recapture. That's fine. A clear recapture. That pawn was free for the taking. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. This move puts the rook on a safer square. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. That pawn capture will win material after all trades are complete. A straightforward recapture. A clear recapture. This moves the rook to safety. Black's piece claims an outpost, adding pressure with tempo. This moves the rook to safety. Right on target. This is the strongest option. This threatens to eventually win a knight. Very precise. This is the only move that works. Right on target. This is the only move that works. This evades the check from the knight. Right on target. This evades the check from the rook. This is the strongest option. This steps away from the checking rook. This move puts the rook on a safer square. This permits the opponent to eventually win material. This wins material. This evades the check from the rook. One of the best moves. This is the only good move. This blocks the check from an opposing rook. White can win a pawn using a fork with the right follow-up. A straightforward recapture. This avoids clear danger. A good use of time, thinking and finding the only good move in the position. This steps away from the checking knight. This defends the attacked rook. This move puts the pawn on a safer square. That was a free pawn. Black had an advantage, but now the game is close to equal. A good use of time, thinking and finding the only good move in the position. A good use of time, thinking and finding the only good move in the position. This steps away from the checking rook. This moves the knight to safety. This loses a knight. This is the way to win a knight. A clear recapture. Very precise. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. Right on target. Pushing a passed pawn. A very strong play. This is a fair move. This is the only move that works. Pushing a passed pawn. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. A straightforward recapture. A solid choice. One of the best moves. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. This is the only good move. This steps away from the checking knight. This is the strongest option.